That's the Psalms. Does it sound weird? It sounds kind of old because it's old. It's 3,000 years old. That one specifically is a song that was written 3,000 years ago. So it's a little bit different than like a Taylor Swift song would sound today because, we got some differences in culture, geography, religion, and dates, like lots of dates. There's a lot of things in this psalm that's really interesting. So the Psalms are different. They're a different kind of book altogether. We have, epistles. We just got out of reading Paul's epistles. Those are like letters or correspondence where he's trying to give advice to communities like ours, but a long time ago in a different place. So he's just giving them advice. Then they got the Gospels, which are kind of like let's try and make some theological meaning out of the Christ event. This person Jesus was here, changed everything. What does that mean? And we have four different takes on that. We got weird stuff called apocalyptic literature. That would be like the book of Revelation. So if you've ever read that and be like, I don't know what's going on here, that's okay. Because they don't have an apocalyptic section at Barnes and Noble last time I checked. It's kind of an older category that is not around. And then we have like mythological type stories, like in the book of Genesis with Noah and Adam and Eve, not necessarily meant to be like this is historical, factual, whatever, whatever. It's more like these are stories with great meanings about the kind of God and they're very old. Then we got poetry or songs, and that is what we got today. This is an old song. It doesn't sound like one because it wasn't written in English. It was written in Hebrew, and there is a whole lot of translation issues. Like they're not going to find the word that rhymes perfectly or that alliterates perfectly. Like the Psalms do some fun things. There's one Psalm, and I can't remember the number off the top of my head because it's just coming in, where the first line of the first word, the first letter of the first line is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph. And then second line is their second letter. I can't remember. It starts with a B. And then the next letter. And it goes through the alphabet. Each line starts with the beginning letter of their alphabet. And then all the lines goes right through the alphabet of their Hebrew language. We don't see that in English. So there's some things that we do miss out on in the translation. So just a quick primer on the book of Psalms. It's not a book. It's five. So here's the guy that wrote it, King David. He's buff. He is. So there's actually a compilation of five different books in the book of Psalms. And you can see them kind of in the notes. They'll say book one. And book one is Psalms 1 through 41. And ours today was written in that realm, Psalm 17. These were written between 1,000 and 800 BC. So these are like old ones. And remember, they're not just poems, they're songs. So this is their hymnal. Like we got hymnals, they're here, like they got the Methodist hymnal and there's the Reformed hymnal, there's our hymnal. Lots of different hymnals are out there that contain collections of hymns. That's what this is. The Psalms is their hymnal. These are the songs that they would sing for different seasons of the different times they were going through. So book one is got 41 Psalms in it. It was written a long time ago. Book two is kind of the updated version, Psalm 42 to 72. That was written between 800 and 700 BC. And then we got book three, Psalm 73 to 89. Next century there, 600. Book four is Psalms 90 through 106, and that was written about 500 BC. And then book five, Psalms 107 to the end, 150, and that was written between 400 and 300 BC. Somewhere around there, that's a simplification. There might be some thrown in that's later or whatever, because when you get editing and compilations and all that kind of stuff, things get a little messy fast. But those are the five different books that are inside that one book. That's why the book of Psalms is the longest one. It has 150 chapters or psalms or poems. So there's a lot of them in there. David wrote about 73 of them, or at least he's been attributed to write about 73 of them. And in his narrative, we know that he's a musician. He was kind of hired to play happy music for Saul, who was depressed, and then he had to dodge spears that were thrown at him when Saul didn't like any of his music. But he wrote about 73 of them. And then we have this guy named Asaph. He wrote about 12 of them. And then we got the sons of Korah. I have no idea who they are, but they wrote about 11 of them. And then we got Solomon. He's attributed to writing about two of them. And then Moses wrote one, and Herman the is Ezrahite, Hemran or Hemnan. I cannot pronounce that one. He wrote one as well. And then we got Anonymous is filling in the rest. And that's kind of the book of Psalms in a nutshell. Now, these are their worship music that they will then, like, okay, it is now time to head to Jerusalem for Passover. Get the Psalms of Ascent out. And we're going to sing those as we go. Just like we have songs that we only sing at Christmas. Like if we sing Oh Holy Night in July, you'd be like, what is going on? Why are like Christmas in July is, I know that's a thing, but this is weird. Like we're not going to do that because those hymns are for that season. And so they have different psalms for different seasons as well. Now there are, this is David again. Walter Brueggemann says that he's an Old Testament scholar. He's one of my favorites. And he's an all around awesome guy. He said that the Psalms are brutal, honest prayers to God, and they're in song form. So a lot of the Psalms are going to be like, there's some happy ones in there, and then there's some ones that are like, whoa, oh, this homeboy needs some Zoloft today before we like writes that one or something because he gets into a dark place fast and then doesn't come out. And the crazy thing about the Psalms is they left it in there. Like that those darker ones that are in there that don't resolve and have happy endings, like they'll sing those in their gatherings. It's like, all right, we're gonna sing Psalm 69 today. And they're like, oh gosh, that one's not my favorite, but okay, we can do that one. You know, like the Psalms take the whole human gambit of emotions and then sings them back to God as a prayer. And some of those emotions, like we have psalms of gratitude and praise and wonder, and we're gonna like gravitate to those, like, ooh, those are my favorite, right? But we also have psalms of confusion, petition, and desperation. Like, God, I have no idea what you're doing, or where you went, or what's going on. Amen. So, yeah, those kind of songs that they're going to sing. And then they have psalms of rage, anger, regret, and confession. Now, that would be interesting. Like, they tell the truth before they tell the good news. That's what I really love about the Psalms, is that they make space for every human emotion in the human experience and turns them into prayers to God. And sometimes it's going to be like, Lord, I can't even, like, that's the prayer of the Psalm sometimes. It's like, I got some issues with you, God, and I'm going to take you to task right now. And we're uncomfortable with that. Why are we uncomfortable with being angry at God and like then like saying that that's okay? Like, oh, but we got to resolve that and have a happy faith kind of a thing. Because the Psalms are going to tell the truth before they get to the good news. You notice how we sing the songs that make us feel better. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, Lord have mercy, we need to feel better, right? But we do that sometimes. We try to skip over all the journey to get to the feeling better before we have to travel through the tension of what actually is. So the Psalms actually do this. They dwell in the tension of human emotion before they go off and they like make claims of hope and faith and all this other stuff about the future. Like they do that. So here's a couple examples. These are fun examples. Um, Here's a hymn. Let's compare our hymn with a psalm. It is well with my soul. Anybody know this one? It is well with my soul. Classic hymn, right? We love this one. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Like we like this psalm. This is a good one, right? This is like one of the classic ones. I was talking with my friend on the phone yesterday. He's like, I actually have that one framed in my room. Like, I was like, yeah, those are it. Now, this communicates an aspect of the faith that we call trust. That's a good part of the faith. That's not the only part of faith, is just to be fully trusting, never questioning, and never take God up to task with what's going on in life. That's not it. Now, did you know that the man who wrote this hymn about the loss of his family in a shipwreck? His family went down in a shipwreck somewhere in the ocean, and he traveled to the place on by boat. He traveled to the place where the shipwreck went down, and then he wrote this song. Nobody knows that part, right? Now, did he write this song as soon as he got the news? No, he didn't, right? He didn't write this song like, hey, there's been some bad news. And he sits down and he's like, I think I'll write a hymn about this. Totally cool with this God. Like, no, he didn't do that, right? Because there is an entire emotional journey that he has to take to get there first. Now, here's the weird part is we adopt this into our hymnal, and it's a great hymn. I'm not criticizing the hymn at all. But what happens is we don't know the journey he took to get to that place. So then we think that I ought to just be in that place at all times and just be totally cool with whatever's going on. And if I have any kind of questionings or doubts or anything like that about whatever's going on in my life, then I must not have strong enough faith because this guy, look at what he wrote after he lost his family, kind of a thing. But we don't know the journey he took to get to this place. We don't know the emotional, like stuff that he had to go through, a whole gambit of emotion to get there. And so the Psalms include the journey. They include all of the doubts and all of the confusion, all of the anger, all of the this is just not okay, God kind of Psalms, and the other good stuff of like, you're faithful and look at all the wondrous works of your hands. It includes all of it. Now, for my doctorate degree, I had to actually compare modern music to ancient Psalms as a kind of a part of my dissertation. And I learned that about 50% of the Psalms to 60, somewhere in there, have an element of this lament and journey and anger and confusion in it. And then I went to, this was about 10, 11 years ago now, I went to the top 100 CCLI. If you don't know what that is, that's kind of when we sing a song, there's copyright issues involved because someone wrote it, so they get paid every time we sing the song. I don't know if you guys knew that. That's part of fun part of church. Is there they wrote it, they have the copyright of it. We have to acknowledge that we sang that song and then they get a cut. So whenever like one of the churches in anywhere sings a song that's copyrighted, the artist gets a cut of that. It's just a part of the system. CCLI system. So I did look at the top 100 songs that we're singing because the CCI will track it for copyright purposes. And I was like, how many of these have elements of lament in them like the Psalms do? And I looked at the top 100 and there was 1%. I was like, okay, we got almost 60% of the Psalms are this, making room for the full gambit of human emotion. And 1% of the songs that churches across our nation are singing have a little tiny piece of it in there. And I'm like, how is that shaping us? Because if we think like this, we have to be in this place at all times and sing songs like this and feel it emotionally and agree with it. But while the Psalms are out there saying, no, that's a part of it, that's a good part of it, but you might not be there. You might be in a totally different place. So let's compare it as well with my soul, which that's a very like, yes, resolution. I went through loss, but come to a place of it as well. I'm good. Now let's look at Psalm 88. From my youth, I have suffered and been close to death. I have borne your terrors and am in despair. Your wrath has swept over me. Your terrors have destroyed me. All day long, they surround me like a flood. They have completely engulfed me. You have taken from me, friend and neighbor. Darkness is my closest friend. You want to sing that on Sunday? Y'all are gonna leave, like, right? That's a depressing church. We don't want to go there. They sing songs about like God left and didn't show up, and like you can see why we don't sing them, but that's shaping us too. Like what we think is like good to sing and what is good to not sing. While the Psalms, like, no, we got all the human emotions in there and we're gonna sing them all. So that's fun. Now I'm not just gonna pick on hymns today. I gotta pick on some more. Let's look at a modern day worship song and compare it to one of the Psalms. Oceans. We sing this one. I like this one. There's nothing wrong with the song Oceans. I'm not criticizing the song. I'm just doing a little compare and contrast kind of a thing. You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown where feet may fail, and there I find you in the mystery in oceans deep. My faith will stand. Now, if you're in that place, that's great. You sing that song and it's like helping you through a time and all that good stuff. That's fantastic. This song is for that. What about if you're not feeling that? Sometimes you're singing it and you're like, I'm not feeling it today. That's fine. Being in community, like maybe someone else sings that song for you today. You know, that's the cool part about community, is you don't have to feel it all the time. It doesn't have to be an emotion inside of you that you agree with all the time. That's not what faith is. Sometimes being in community is like you show up and you're like, I'm not feeling it today, but I know that person is, and they're going to carry me through it, right? So that's the cool part about community. So this modern day, it communicates a part of the faith that's important, which is trust, but it bypasses all the messy emotions of doubt, anger, and despair on the way. So here is Psalm 69. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I sink in miry depths where there is no foothold. I have come into deep waters. The floods engulf me. I am worn out, calling for help. My throat is parched. My eyes fail, looking for my God. Would you want to sing that one on Sunday? Like, yeah, you're kind of like, ee. But do you see how this shapes us, what we're comfortable with and what we're not? So together we get here and we like to sing the songs like Oceans. But what if somebody has just been through the ringer in the week and they show up and they're like, but I don't feel that. Is there a place for me? I'm not there emotionally. Do I still belong? And the Psalms leave enough space for people who just ain't feeling it, who just ain't experiencing it. That's why I like the book of Psalms. It takes the whole gambit of human emotion and it brings it like right in and says, all of these belong. All of these are okay. You can like yell at God. Here, there's a psalm about yelling at God, and it doesn't resolve in a happy place. Not all of the psalms go there and resolve. Like Psalm 69, that's the end of it right there. My eyes fail looking for my God. Amen. Like, and it doesn't go any further. It doesn't be like, but don't worry. There's hope. Don't worry. It's going to be okay. Like, it doesn't go there at all. It leaves you there. And if you're not in a place of despair, you're like, well, that's a depressing psalm because it is. But if you are in a place of despair, you're like, oh, there's one for me because I'm feeling that one today. There's room for the human emotion in the Psalms, and they're singing these. So I did a funny thing. I asked the robots on the internet to write me a song that is in modern worship context, like form, but takes the form of a psalm that doesn't resolve like Psalm 69. Here's what the robots on the internet wrote for me. You didn't arrive. This is the modern day, this is the robots on the internet. Okay? They're fun. I like robots on the internet. Now, this is a song here. The waters rising past my mouth and silence fills the sky. I've called your name till my voice gave out, but still, you just passed me by. The temple's cold, the lights burn low, my prayers fall like ash and rain. If you are near, then let me know, or just remember my name. Now, you're waiting for the happy resolution, right? Like, okay, but then we come in with like, but you are faithful and you never let me down and you're always there and I love you all the time. And like, let's see the chorus of this song. That was verse one. Here's the chorus. You didn't arrive when I was drowning. You didn't move when I believed. And still I wait in this empty room, half in faith, half in grief. If absence is your mercy now, then mercy cuts like stone. You didn't arrive. The end. Do you see how awkward the Psalms are? Like these Psalms of lament, when you put them to a modern worship twist, like, can you imagine singing a song like that in church? People will be like, that's the depressing church. We don't go there. Right now, I don't think we need to sing songs like this, but it's good to note that there is room in the faith for all the gambit of human motion. And one of these things, because the whole CCLI and the whole, got to pay revenue and all that, worship leaders don't write songs like this because we won't sing them. And we don't sing them because we wouldn't want to sing those in church because it won't apply to everybody and it'd be kind of a downer, right? So you can see how capitalism shapes our faith because the things that will make money are the things that will be written and the things that will be sung and then over and over and over again. And that's just the context that we live inside of. And it's good to be aware of that. So again, not a critique, just an observation of how this has shaped us. Is it okay to yell at God and be angry at God? Have you ever sat with a friend who was just absolutely enraged at God not doing something and you felt so uncomfortable to be there? Like, oh, but don't worry. It's going to be okay. God is still good. God is good all the time. All those things that we want to say is not to help them, but to relieve our anxiety about their emotions. All those things that we want to say to someone in that moment, we want to help them just like pull them out of there and get them to a better place because then that makes me feel better because I'm really uncomfortable with you feeling those emotions about God. The Psalms don't do that. Psalms are like, that's where you are. That's where you are. We got a psalm for you. There you go. There's a psalm for you if you are absolutely defeated and depressed and all that. There's a psalm for you if you are on top of the world and you just won the Super Bowl. Like there are psalms for every human emotion, and that's why this book is great. But it's hard to like feel that's what they are because they're like written 2,000 to 3,000 years ago in ancient languages and cultures, and it kind of misses that. So now all that's what the Psalms are. Let's look at Psalm 17. What do we got here? This is prayer as protest. I like this one. Prayer as protest. Do you ever think that prayer is like protesting to God? It's a protest psalm against what the psalmist feels God is up to in the world. And this psalm is like, oh, no, no, God, you can't do that. Nope. I am protesting what's going on right now. And what you're up to, I say no. This psalm is actually taking God to task and chewing him out. But it kind of doesn't feel that way because it's like ancient poetry. But if you look at it for what it is, it's like, holy smokes, that psalm's got, he's bold. I think they would say he's got some chutzpah. So here it is. Hear me, Lord. My plea is just. Listen to my cry. Hear my prayer. It does not rise from deceitful lips. Let my vindication come from you. May your eyes see what is right. Though you probe my heart, though you examine me at night and test me, you will find that I have planned no evil. My mouth has not transgressed. This psalm starts like a court case. Like, Your Honor, I am clean. I didn't do anything wrong. I haven't done anything. It even has the word plea in it, like, hear my plea. And the writer does not feel like they've had a fair shot from God in the cards that life has dealt them. I don't know what's exactly going on in the context, but they're like, you know what? I don't think that God's given me a fair shot at this. I don't think, and I'm upset. So I'm taking God to task. Like, hey, what did I do wrong? Because I'm totally cool. I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't been deceitful. I don't love violence. I don't like just listen to all the stuff, providing evidence in this court case against God. This is the Psalms. Imagine singing this in church. Like, so the writer doesn't feel like they have had a fair shot from God in the cards life dealt them, and they are protesting about that, saying, no, absolutely not. So listen to my case and change your mind, God, is what he's saying. Isn't that's got some chutzpah to it? Like, holy cow, he's bold. He's like, no, check out my case, investigate, do a whole investigation of my life and my heart and everything. You're going to find I haven't done anything wrong, and you're mistaken in your rulings about this. Whatever you like ruled out, whatever you dished out in life, you made a mistake, God. I'm cool. I'm good. Take a second look. You're going to see I didn't do anything wrong. I'm good. And go beyond that. Even look inside my intentions and see that even my intentions are clear and free. You can see that this psalmist is providing a court case and saying, all right, God, I'm going to show you my evidence. And you're going to see that the lot that was just dealt to me in life is not fair. It's not okay. And I disagree with it. And that's the psalm of protest to God. Here's the next part. Though people tried to bribe me, I have kept myself from the ways of the violent. Through what your lips have commanded, my steps have held to your paths. My feet have not stumbled. So he's like, here, I think you're wrong, God. And here's why. Because I'm on a straight and narrow. I've been cool. My nose is clean. My heart is pure. Like, I'm good. What the heck's going on? Have you ever felt that? You ever felt that? Like life hands you some kind of a card and you're like, what is this? Like, what did I do to get this lot in life? Like, what in the world is even going on? And you look up and you're like, okay, God, like, what are you doing? I don't understand this. Now, the way that all of the worship music has shaped us says that those emotions are kind of dangerous and not okay. So you're like, okay, but I will trust you still. But you don't feel it, right? You don't feel it in that moment, like, oh yeah, I'm totally cool. Like you don't feel it, but you feel bad about feeling the way you feel in that moment. And so what are you going to do with that emotion that you think is not okay? Well, you pull out a psalm because they're in there and they're okay. Like it's right there in God's very words. God's writing protests. Like if we believe the scriptures are inspired by God, then God is the one inspiring the protest against himself in this thing. So he's got to be cool with it, right? Like he's got to be cool with this. So I like what Dr. Renita Weems says. Sometimes faith sounds like a complaint, but lament is love's refusal to be silent. We think that like love is like a cozy, fuzzy, sentimentality, hallmarky kind of a feeling, and it's not. This protest to God is very much one of love because it's bringing out raw, authentic human emotions about something going on, and it brings them to God, and it's like, all right, what do you want to do with this? Like, love can be fierce like that. And loving God can be fierce as well. It doesn't have to be the mushy sentimentality thing all the time. If you're in that place, like, good, enjoy being there, but you don't have to stay there all the time. If life deals you a card that is not cool, that you think is not fair, that is just like, what in the world? Like, you don't have to try and get back to a fuzzy sentimentality place about things. You can dwell in that place, however it is affecting you. And there is a psalm for you to complain about to God. And that's totally fine because that's in there. True prayer dares to hold God accountable to God's own justice. Like God has told us what God is like in the scriptures. And then life happens. And we're just like, those don't match up. Like, God, I know you said that you were this way. And now this thing has happened and that ain't fair. And there are Psalms that say that directly. This one being one of them. God has a standard and it's been communicated in the scriptures. And then like our life experiences aren't matching up to that. And it's okay to say that out loud. It's okay to mention that out loud, to say, what you say about yourself, God, I do not see in this situation. That is the mode of faith. That is not a lack of faith. That is not doubt. That is not losing faith. That is faith in action. Because you're like, I know what you said about yourself, God. And now I know what I'm seeing and experiencing, and the two don't match up. Tell God that, and that is faith. Boom. That's a part of faith. That is a part of faith. Holding God accountable to God's own justice, because God said, I am purely just and pure love. And you're like, okay, well, then why is all this crap happening? Like, you're allowed to say that. You're allowed to voice that. You're allowed to feel that. You can't make emotions happen in your brain. Do you know that when you feel something, an emotion, whether it's happy or sad or whatever, there are chemicals that are released in your brain that you can't just turn on and off like light switches. It happens inside of you. Emotions like happen to us. They're happening within us. They're not like you doing something. Emotions happen as a neurological function. There's meaning to it more than that, but it's biological. If you're feeling angry about something, you can't just turn it off like a light switch, right? If you're feeling anxious about something, you can't just turn it off like a light switch. If you'd rather be feeling joy, you can't just turn it on like a light switch, right? You have to live yourself into and out of and through all of these different experiences of God. And the Psalms embody that journey in song form. And the ancient Hebrew people just sang about it all the time. And we haven't sang about it that much in our modern day cultures because we'd rather feel the happy stuff. And I don't blame you. I'd rather feel the happy stuff too. But sometimes you can't just get there. And that's all right to say that. So part two, love's limitations. We're getting into some stuff about God here. I call on you, my God, for you will answer me. Turn your ear to me and hear my prayer. Show me the wonders of your great love. You who saved by your right hand, those who take refuge in you from their foes, keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings from the wicked who are out to destroy me, that my mortal enemies are surrounding me. Like this psalm turns from complaint, then turns to asking for help. It's basically saying, like, I know who you are, God, but my lived experience isn't reflecting that right now, and I need some help. Come into my world and make that right. Like, make those two things square up, because I'm not seeing it, I'm not feeling it, I don't know what to do about it. So taking refuge is a theme in the Psalms that we don't really use a lot in our modern day experiences because we have climate controlled transportation, right? You hop in your car and your heat works, right? I would hope so. Although mine doesn't blow on the feet, it's only stuck on defrost. So I got to wear thick socks in the winter. But so I tried the heated socks. That's a nice one too. Heated socks are great. But the heat, like we have climate controlled thing. You get like a really hot day out, you flip on the AC, right? You're like, this is good. A lot of us have AC in our cars, some of us don't. It is very nice, I'll let you know that. So you're driving down the highway, it's a hot day, 90 degrees, middle of summer. You're like, AC is going to save our life today, right? Like we have climate controlled transportation. They didn't, they walked. Unless you were kind of rich, then you had some kind of animal, like a donkey or a camel or something. If you were very rich, you had a horse, but they walked everywhere. Have you ever walked in the desert? It's kind of hot. I've never been in the desert. And their desert is not just like sand dunes, Sahara Desert. It's like rocky, barren terrain, lots of mountainous stuff. Very hot, very like life-threateningly hot. So you would find refuges on your journey. Okay, there's a tree. Let's take a shade break. Okay, now there's a city. Let's go get some water. There's an oasis. There's a well. Let's make sure we get our water. Like they didn't stop at the gas station and grab like a, Dasani or something. When they traveled, it was life threatening for them, and refuge was important. So that was a part of their life, and they transferred that to imagery about God. Like traveling through the wilderness is really hard, and we need refuge places. We need to sneak into this shadow of like this tree or this bush or whatever. And then there's that wall, the oasis and the well, and there's a city and there's a town, and they'll be hospitable to us because they're the people of God. They'll welcome us in, give us food, shelter, all that kind of stuff, right? Like the refuge was critical for people traveling. They needed safety from like bandits too. Like they were robbers on the road and it was like lawless out there and stuff. So taking refuge is something that travelers in this harsh climate in the ancient Near East would be in need of desperately. Animals, robbers, weather, all that kind of stuff was there. So they needed these things to take refuge in. And they then transferred that image to God. Like, God is, I need you to be this refuge because this journey I'm on right now, holy smokes, it's hot out here. If you don't step in with a little bit of a shadow or a little bit of shade, like it's going to be rough. Those of you who like have outdoor sports in the middle of the summer, or if you watch outdoor sports in the middle of the summer, you're like, boy, I wish they'd cover this up. Like I'm sweating under the sun. Now imagine that, but you also need to travel 100 miles that day on foot. Like refuge was something that was absolutely essential. And so they adopted that imagery. This is how people contextualize God from the world that they're living in. And then it says, they close up their calloused hearts, their mouths speak with arrogance. They have tracked me down. They now surround me with eyes alert to throw me to the ground. They are a lion hungry for prey, like fierce lion crouching for cover. Now, David was literally hunted. So this old talk of enemies kind of stuff was literal. Like he's literally running from people. He ran away from Saul and his army for 13 years. He lived without a home, a people, or vindication, even though he was the rightly anointed king of Judah, and Saul was just kind of like, nope, I'm not giving it over to you. You're going to have to I'm going to kill you. And so he took off for the wilderness, ran for 13 years away from the hunted person. So these Psalms come out a lot of that. And David, and he's trying to stay alive out in the wilderness, looking for places of refuge, looking for people who'd welcome him. And this is what faith sounds like under severe oppression and injustice. And this is what the plea of vindication is all about. God, give me vindication. Like I didn't do anything wrong. I'm the rightful king. Samuel anointed me, said the prayer, dumped the oil. And then Saul was like, no, I'm going to kill you so I can stay king. And David was like, I need some vindication. Everyone thinks I'm guilty of something that I'm not. And so this prayer here in this psalm, this prayer is what a prayer of vindication sounds like. Like, clear my name, God. I didn't do anything wrong, kind of a thing. And God was silent for 13 years. And God's silence is not absence, it's invitation in the deeper seeing. And David wrote some of his most beautiful psalms in that 13-year period, running. And it's like Taylor Swift writes all of her music after a breakup, kind of a thing. That's like one of those things, like human pain, like human suffering, all those things give rise to a lot of creative expression and artistic expression. Painters and poets and songwriters and novel writers, all those people that do creative things, they don't do it from cozy places. They do it from the places of raw human experience of emotion. And sometimes God goes silent and we're not sure what to do about that. So what David needs is vision beyond violence. I want vindication. And vindication is not like God's going to sweep in and like take out all the enemies and now they're all dead. Like that wasn't what he wanted. But here's how the psalm ends. Rise up, Lord. Confront them. Bring them down with your sword. Rescue me from the wicked. By your hand, save me from such people, Lord, from those of this world whose reward is in this life. May what you have stored up for the wicked fill their bellies. May their children gorge themselves on it. And may there be leftovers for their little ones. As for me, I will be vindicated and will see your face. When I awake, I will be satisfied with seeing your likeness. So he's not there yet. And this is violence, right? Like, holy cow, like let them and their children and their children's children. That's like a whole theme in the Psalm. So now you can kind of see why I like Malcolm Guite's like versions of the Psalms, because I can't explain all of that in a benediction. It's like, okay, so there's some violent stuff in this one, but really, our battle is not with flesh and blood. I don't got time for that. So we use Malcolm Guite's versions of the Psalms because they've been modernized. I don't have to explain stuff like we don't want violence on our enemies like this. But human nature often thinks that vindication means violence to the wrongdoer. But many of the Psalms have that in it. But we know that Christ has come and shows us the kind of love that's even for our enemies, that forgives, that is merciful. And that is what we are to be all about. So salvation is not escaping the world, but awakening to and partnering with God's work inside of the world. This is what David is trying to get to, trying to get into these places. And when we're in the middle of that wrestling of emotion, and I don't know what to do with this feeling and that emotion and this thing and that thing, like that, we don't have to try and escape that and feel different emotions about the event. We have to try and indwell it in the present and see how is God active in this moment and how can I partner with what God is doing in the world and make it better. And sometimes it takes a long time to see that. Sometimes the silence lasts 13 years, like David. I have a friend who's a pastor, and he went through 4 years of silence with God. He left the ministry, he burned out, and got a different job. And he started writing poetry during year 5. He's like, just something woke up in him, and now he just writes poetry. I've used one of his poems here before as a benediction, and today I'll use it one again. It's a good one because it leaves room in the gambit of human emotion. So I got a couple of reflection questions. How can I practice lament without planting seeds of bitterness and cynicism? These Psalms are Psalms of lament, complaint, protest. This ain't fair. I don't feel good. What's going on? How do we feel those things without delving into them and like dwelling and living inside of being pulled down? That's a reflection question to think about. 2, how is God inviting you to see vindication without violence? And what do you think God is up to around you, and how can you partner with it? And here's a spiritual practice for the week. Write a prayer of honest protest to God this week. Name what feels unjust. Don't sugarcoat it. Just say it. Try it. Write it down, or just like when you're in the car all by yourself, go ahead and just say it. Say it out loud and see what happens. It's called lament. Now, my friend wrote a poem. We're going to use that as our benediction. It's called The 4 Year Silence. And it was about his journey through God going silent, him kind of losing his faith, and then emerging on the other side to write poetry. That's really great. So I want to read it for you. It's a psalm. It's what basically a modern day psalm. He's from Alabama, so there's a lot of Southern language in here. He was gone, I swear it. Not just quiet, but vanished like dew. Before I could name the morning. No whisper, no ache of presence in the chest, just blank skies and prayers that hit the walls and slid down like sweat on cinder blocks. 4 years, 4 long, godless years where I searched in verses and old hymns in churches with coffee and fake smiles, in the woods, in whiskey, in words that used to work. I used to feel him in the hush before supper, in mama's hands on my head, in the breath between questions. But he disappeared like a feather, or like a father on payday with a promise he never meant to keep. And I cussed, and I begged, and I stopped asking. But the funny thing is, the silence never did. It kept on, like it was him all along. Not a what, not a thing, not the God I built with sermons and sweat, not the one I thought owed me a sign, a sound, a little mercy. No, He was the who I couldn't name, but couldn't quit either. The ache in the back of my throat every time I said I am and didn't know what that meant anymore. He wasn't in the fire, he wasn't in the wind, he wasn't in the expletive church. He was in the gap, the hollow between the notes, the God-shaped nothing that still held me when nothing else did. He is not part of the world or even a piece of me, but somehow without him, there ain't no me left to be. Amen.